Number 15. A cucumber. While VeggieTales may be seen as a wholesome Christian cartoon, I have effectively shattered the image of Larry the Cucumber and scarred thousands of children for life. The cucumber turned from green to brown in a matter of seconds with each thrust and is now on Live Leak for everyone to see. After I was done, I cleaned the cucumber and returned it to the produce section where I found it. I'm pretty sure that an old homeless man ended up eating it, but quite frankly, I don't want to find out. Number 14. My father's boot. While some parents may threaten you with shoving their boot up your ass when you are naughty, I made sure to stay one step ahead and stole my dad's shoes, only to violently sodomize myself with them before he had a chance to. You see, it is best to stay one step ahead of your competition, and if it weren't for this 200 IQ pro gamer move, I would have been punished badly. My dad had no choice but to watch as his favorite threat was used against him. I thought I had won, but he instead took out his belt and started whipping me across the bottom. It was no biggie though, as I ended up enjoying that anyway. Number 13. A Remington. After suffering with thoughts of suicide for years, I searched up on Google the best ways to off myself. The first result said that the easiest way to go to heaven was to put a shotgun into my mouth and pull the trigger. However, where is the fun in that? I loaded 6 shells into the gun and shoved the muzzle into my rear end with no lube. After getting really excited, I realized that there was no point in leaving life and that life was too short. If you ever see someone suffering from suicidal thoughts, be sure to talk to them, otherwise they will leave life with a huge ass hemorrhage and scrambled insides, and not in the good way. Number 12. Toilet paper. In an effort of pure genius, I realized that instead of having to wipe after every time I went to the bathroom, why not clean everything out once and for all? My friends and family members simply told me that I should get a bidet as it would be more cost effective, but personally, I think they're just jealous that they didn't come up with it first. After I inserted the first roll into my bunghole, I got addicted and started buying more and more, ultimately hoarding it for myself, leading to the 2020 toilet paper shortage during the COVID-19 pandemic. I eventually got to a point where I could shove 15 rolls of toilet paper in all at once before heading over to AA to take my 12 steps against my addiction. Thankfully, I got the help I needed, because who would have known how bad the shortage would have been if I kept going. Number 11. A crucifix. After wishing to get closer to God in my own special way, I went to my local chapel after hours and ripped a crucifix off the wall. I then proceeded to become one with the Lord after spreading my booty and inserting the long end while using holy water as lube. While I was bludgeoning myself, I heard God speak to me and tell me that he was disappointed and that I would go to hell if I continued. I got down on my knees and started repenting for being such a naughty boy. Whether it was proof that God exists or if the LCD just had me tripping balls, I will never truly be sure. Number 10. Toothpaste. After realizing that rectal thermometers exist, I started to wonder why rectal toothpaste can't exist as well. I wanted my farts to smell minty fresh, so I grabbed some Colgate out of my medicine cabinet and got to work. The insertion wasn't nearly as painful as the other entries on this list, and the sensation of the mint cream filling my anal cavity was second to none. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Colgate. However, the 1 out of 10 who've seen what I've done to the toothpaste bottle tend to think otherwise. Number 9. Flex Seal. Determined to stop losing items in my anal captivity, I decided to put my butthole through a lot of damage in order to end my cycle of addiction and to prevent me from losing my car keys just because I couldn't help myself from shoving them up my ass. I am now unable to take a shit and have become so constipated that my parents have been feeling my stomach for a kick and asking when I'm expecting. Although the condescending remarks can get to me sometimes, it has been worth it, as I ultimately would have sucked in my entire neighborhood had I not put a stop to it. Number 8. Excalibur. While the story of King Arthur pulling the sword from the stone and being crowned is a popular folktale, it is also rumored that whoever can pull the sword from my ass will be crowned my daddy and can punish me however he likes. The fact that my internal organs have not yet been ruptured, which should cause immediate death, is beyond me. However, I ultimately gave up caring and waited for the prophecy to fulfill itself. Multiple people tried to pull the sword out, but they only lasted 2 seconds without barely moving it an inch, leaving me heavily dissatisfied until someone was finally able to pull it out. My ass started bleeding and I was worried I was about to die, but thankfully the guy was an EMT and pumped some blood into my posterior along with other bodily fluids. Needless to say, I was brought back to life in more ways than one. Number 7. A broomstick. While incarcerated in a maximum security prison, I was held down by 4 big guys in the laundry room after being arrested for shoving drugs up my ass with intent to distribute. Unbeknownst to them and the guards, the broomstick was a magical broomstick from Hogwarts, which allowed me to fly out of the maximum security sector and evade my attackers, along with any gunfire from the sniper towers. I decided to keep the broomstick in and auditioned for Homelander. However, the producers were terrified by my magical abilities and decided to cut me, but not before the police arrived after tracking my location. I was promptly arrested again and sentenced to 4 extra years. Unfortunately, they took the broomstick out of my ass and my powers disappeared. I was released just recently and am now looking to rehabilitate myself and become a productive member of society. Number 6. My brother's porn stash. My brother wanted to bring his special magazines with him on a road trip and asked me if I could take the fall. I knew it would only be a matter of time before mom would find and confiscate the magazines, so I had to use my special talents for good and stuff them up my massive badonkadonk. While sitting down, I felt the magazines massage my prostate every time we would hit a speed bump, prompting me to leak white Gatorade in front of everyone, creating an awkward moment for everyone in the car. My mom eventually found out about the magazines and told my father, who got pissed. Thankfully though, I had already shoved his boot up my ass beforehand, so he had no choice but to ground me for a month as a compromise. I can only be thankful that my planning had helped me out, as who knows what would have happened otherwise. Number 5. 15 grams of methamphetamine. While on the subject of smuggling, I was tasked with smuggling drugs for Pablo Escobar, and the only way for me to get past the TSA was to find a way to hide them. As you all know, the TSA has really tight security, so I was unable to hide it in my bags, so the only way was up my rear end. While I was walking through airport security, the guard got suspicious of me and pulled me aside to be examined. I was detained in a 16x16 box and promptly interrogated. I tried to pretend that I didn't speak English, but apparently taco chimichanga is not real Spanish, so the security agent hit me across the face with a baton, but not before bending me over and lubing his hands before shoving them into my anal cavity with the force of 1,000 suns. While the experience would be downright traumatic to some, it was the best moment of my life, and I'm pretty sure I started leaking at some point too. The agent found the drugs and I was promptly arrested on site and taken to a maximum security prison for drug trafficking. In the end, it was all worth it. Number 4. The soap. While most people would warn you about dropping the soap in prison, sometimes it's not the possibility of getting raped that's the scariest, but the idea of getting my butt juice on your hands. After taking inspiration from One Man, One Jar, I took a bottle of Old Spice and yelled cannonball before plunging onto the bottle with a 10 out of 10 landing. My ass was burning and I immediately felt a sharp wave of pain after plunging it in. However, the feeling in my ass was second to none, so I decided to keep going, ultimately climaxing after squeezing the shampoo in. I then proceeded to take the bottle out and throw it away before putting on my clothes to go to church, but I couldn't contain the leakage coming from my booty, so I had to shove some butt plugs in to stop it. If you ever plan on shoving soap up your ass, be sure that you have an extra paper towel with you, because otherwise things will get messy. Number 3. Your mom. There are people who would brag about how they fucked your mom, but truth be told, your mom fucked me. I was bored on a Friday night and needed something to do, so I looked for some items around the house, but none of them were big enough. Thankfully, your mom was so fat that my ass started bleeding due to the massive girth, though I was ultimately able to fit her in there, thus satisfying my urges. Unfortunately for her, my anus had no oxygen for her to breathe, so she passed away due to suffocation. If you ever need someone to talk to, just remember that I'm right here. Number 2. The Washington Monument. While not nearly as good as the Obama Monument, I decided to list it here as it was able to offer so much with undoubtedly much less. When I sat on the pillar, I bled out like crazy and would have lost a shit ton of blood had it not been for my guardian angel who was watching the whole thing take place. The angel attempted to levitate me off the monument, however, there was too much grip and I was unable to get off. Thankfully though, I was able to flex my rectum and was able to squeeze myself off. I was apprehended and told to clean the mess I made, which I spit shined with my mouth. Even though the country's colors are officially red, white, and blue, I believe that they should be changed to red, white, and brown in order to commemorate this great achievement. Fellow patriots, be sure to comment your thoughts down below. Before we get on to number 1, my name is Cheddar Cheese, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you wish to see a video made, be sure to leave a suggestion in the comments below. Furthermore, if you want me to say something in the voice, be sure to write it in the comments below as follows. I will be sure to include any suggestions in the next video. Number 1. The universe. The speculation behind a lot of theories of how we came to be. Scientists predict that I sucked every single black hole and gas cloud into my massive butt cheeks, causing the accretion disks to collide and make a massive quasar beam before exploding, leading to the Big Bang as we know it. The immense power of my methane gas alone heated the particles to trillions of degrees Celsius before cooling down and allowing planets and stars to form. After billions of years, the solar system formed Uranus, a gas giant and the 7th planet from the sun. Uranus stopped expanding, but my anus continues to expand with time until it expands so much that all is known will be lost to eternity and is forever doomed to lie beyond the observable horizon, never to be seen again.